अकाउंट नाही मला ते चेक करावं लागेल. माझा क्लास आहे नाही ये ना, तो बाकी जो करून येईल तोपर्यंत लायब्ररी घे ना, मग लायब्ररीचे घेतो पर्यंत. Good morning, student. Today we will discuss the discrete time non-periodic signal, the discrete time Fourier transform. The discrete time Fourier transform. We have seen that this discrete time Fourier transform is used to represent the discrete time non-periodic signals. As a superposition of complex sinusoids. Okay. So this discrete time Fourier transform is used to represent a discrete time non-periodic signals as a superposition of complex sinusoid. As a superposition of complex sinusoid. Okay, so this discrete time Fourier transform is used to represent the discrete time non-periodic signals. Whenever the non-periodic signal and it is a discrete time, then we can use the discrete time Fourier transform to represent these signals, and therefore the discrete time Fourier transform this would involve a continuum of frequency on the interval for omega. This is greater than minus pi and this is less than or equal to pi. So this discrete time Fourier transform always involves the continuum of frequency on this interval, that is minus pi. This omega frequency is greater than minus pi and is less than or equal to pi, where omega has a unit of radians. Okay, this omega has a unit of radians. Okay, thus the discrete time Fourier transform representation of time domain signal involves the general integral, involves an integral over the frequency. So therefore the discrete time Fourier representation Fourier transform representation of a time domain signal involves an integral over frequency okay. Therefore the representation of this signal is x of n is equal to 1 over 2 pi minus pi to pi, and this is x of e raised to power j omega into e raised to power j omega n into d omega. Okay, so this is equation number 1. So this is the discrete time Fourier transform representation of the time domain signal, involves an integral over the frequency, that is minus pi to pi, okay, the range of the frequency, and where x of e of j omega j e raised to power j omega is equal to summation n equal to minus infinity to infinity x of n into e raised to power minus j omega n. Okay, so this is equation number 2. So this is the discrete time Fourier transform of the signal x of n. Discrete time Fourier transform of the signal x of n. Okay, therefore x of e raised to power j omega and x of n are the discrete time Fourier transform pair. Okay, and this we can write x of n, these are the pairs, the x of e raised to power j omega and x of n, they are discrete time Fourier pair, and this can be represented like this: discrete time Fourier transform pair. So if the x of e raised to power j omega and x of n are the discrete time Fourier pairs, then we can write such type of the equation. That means this is the discrete time Fourier transform pair. So the transform x of e raised to power j omega describe the signal x of n as a function of sinusoidal frequency. Okay, so the transform x of e raised to power j omega, this describe the signal x of n as a function of sinusoidal frequency omega. and this is termed the frequency domain representation, and this is called frequency domain representation of x of n. Okay, therefore equation 1 is usually termed the inverse discrete time Fourier transform. Why it is called as the inverse discrete time Fourier transform? Because it maps the frequency domain representation back into the time domain. Inverse equation 1 is termed as or is called as inverse discrete time Fourier transform. Why this is called as the inverse discrete time Fourier transform? Because it convert the frequency domain representation back into time domain. Okay, so this discrete time Fourier transform is used primarily to analyze the action of the discrete time system on discrete time signals. So the infinite sum is shown in equation number 2. The infinite sum converges if x of n has a finite duration. The x of n, that is the Fourier transform, this x of n has a finite duration, then the infinite sum in equation 2 can be converges. Okay, therefore the infinite sum in equation 2, okay, this is the infinite sum in this equation number 2. Okay, the infinite sum in equation 2 converges if this x of n has finite duration, has finite duration. If it is having infinite duration, then it does not convergence. There are some exceptions are there some for some signals. So the infinite sum in equation 2 converges if x of n has a finite duration and is finite value, and it is having some finite value, not having the infinite value. But in some cases, if x of n is of finite duration, then the sum converges only for certain classes of signal. Then the sum converges only for some for some classes of signals. So if summation n equal to minus infinity to infinity, then absolute summable of this x of n is less than infinite, is less than infinite. Okay, so if summation over n equal to minus infinity to infinity, absolute value of x of n is less than infinite, then the sum in equation converges uniformly to the continuous function of omega. Okay, then the sum in equation 2 converges uniformly to a continuous function continuous function of omega. Okay, therefore if x of n is not absolutely summable, if x of n is not absolutely summable but thus satisfied, x of n is not absolutely summable but thus satisfied summation n equal to minus infinity to infinity. Okay, so this, if it is not absolutely summable but does satisfy this condition, that is summation over k equal n equal to minus infinity to infinity, absolute summable square is less than infinity, then it can be shown that the sum in equation 2 convergence in a mean square error sense but does not convergence pointwise. Okay, then it can be shown that the sum in equation 2 converges in a mean square error but does not converge pointwise. Okay, therefore many signals encountered in engineering practice satisfied these conditions. However, the several common signals, non-periodic signal, for example, a unit step signal U of n does not satisfy this condition. In some other cases, we can define the transform pair that behaves like the discrete time Fourier transform by including the impulses of the transformers. So this is the discrete time non-periodic signal for we have to use the discrete time Fourier transform. Next is a continuous time non-periodic signal, and this is the Fourier transform. So whenever the non-periodic signals are there and the continuous time signals are there, we have to always use the Fourier transform. So this Fourier transform is used to represent the continuous time non-periodic signal as a superposition of complex sinusoid. Okay, so this Fourier transform is used to represent a continuous time non-periodic signal as a superposition of complex sinusoid. Okay, so the continuous non-periodic nature of the time signal implies that the superposition of complex sinusoids used in the Fourier representation of the signal, and this involves the continuum of frequency, and this frequency range is from -infinity to +infinity. Okay, so this Fourier representation of the signal involves the continuum of frequency ranging from -infinity to infinity. Therefore, the Fourier transform representation of the continuous time signals involves an integral over the entire range of the frequency, that is from -infinity to infinity. Therefore, by taking the help of this sentence, we can write the Fourier transform representation of a continuous time non-periodic signal involves an integral over the entire frequency range interval. Okay. That is, we can write by taking the help of this sentence, that is x of t one by 2 pi integration -infinity to infinity x of j omega into e raised to power j omega t into d omega. Okay. So where x of j omega is equal to -infinity to infinity x of t into e raised to power -j omega t into dt. So this is equation number, you can say equation number 3, and this is equation number 4. Okay, so this is the Fourier transform of the signal x of t. Fourier transform of the signal x of t. As shown in the equation 3, we have expressed x of t as a weighted superposition of sinusoid having the frequency that is ranging from -infinity to infinity. Therefore, the superposition is an integral, and the weight on each sinusoid is 1 by 2 pi into x of j omega. Okay, therefore x of t and x of j omega are in Fourier transform pairs and they can be written like this. Therefore, x of t and x of j omega are an Fourier transform pair, and this can be written like this. X of t this is a Fourier transform pair, and this is x of j omega. Okay, therefore transform x of j omega describe the signal x of t as a function of frequency omega and term the frequency domain representation of the x of t. Okay. Therefore we can write here we transform x of j omega describes the signal x of t as a function of frequency and is called a frequency domain representation of x of t. It's called frequency domain representation of x of t. And this equation 3 is termed the inverse Fourier transform. Why it is termed as the inverse Fourier transform? Because it converts back the frequency domain representation into the time domain representation. Okay, so the equation 3 is termed the inverse Fourier transform. The equation 3 is called inverse Fourier transform. Why? Because it converts back, it converts the frequency domain representation x of j omega back into time domain, back into the time domain. Therefore, Fourier transform is used to analyze the characteristics of continuous time systems and interaction between the continuous time systems and signals. Therefore, Fourier transform is also used to analyze the interaction between the discrete and continuous time signal also. Therefore, equation 3 and 4 equation 3 and 4 may not converge for all function x of t and x of j omega. Okay. The integrals in equation 3 and 4 may not converge for all functions x of t and x of j omega. So analysis of convergence is beyond of this topic, and therefore we simply state several convergence conditions on the time domain signal x of t. So we define like this. If you define, suppose hat of x of t, it is 1 over 2 pi minus infinity to infinity x of j omega into e raised to power j omega t into d omega. Okay, so where x of j omega is expressed in terms of x of t by the equation 4, it can be shown that the square error between x of t and hat of x of t, namely the error signal, it is given by where x of j omega is expressed in terms of x of t by equation 4, and it can be shown that the squared error between x of t and hat of x of t, namely the error energy, namely the error energy. Okay, and it is given by minus infinity to infinity modulus of x of t minus cap of x of t square dt, and therefore this is 0 is 0 if x of t is a square integral. Okay, that is if the integration over minus infinity to infinity modulus of x of t square into dt, and this is less than infinity. Therefore, the zero square error does not imply the pointwise convergence, even though we get here the zero square error, but zero square error does not imply the pointwise convergence. It does, however, imply that there is a zero energy in the difference of the term. Okay, the zero squared error does not imply that pointwise convergence. Okay, however, it implies that there is a zero energy in the difference of the terms. It implies that there is zero energy in the difference of the term. Okay, therefore pointwise convergence is guaranteed at all values of t except those corresponding to the discontinuous if x of t satisfies the Dirichlet condition for the non-periodic signals. Therefore, x of t is, we can write here, x of t is absolutely integrable over minus infinity to infinity modulus of x of t into dt, which is less than infinite. Okay, this condition second is x of t has finite number of a finite number of maxima, minima, and discontinuities in any finite interval. Discontinuities in any finite interval. Okay, and the size of each discontinuity is finite. Again, the size of each discontinuity that should be also finite. Okay, so this is all about the Fourier transform of continuous time non-periodic signals. And in next lectures, we will discuss the problem over these Fourier transforms. Almost all the physical signals we see in the engineering practice satisfy the second and third conditions. Second condition is that x of t has a finite number of maxima and minima and discontinuities in any fine intervals. And third is the size of each discontinuity is finite. Okay, so these conditions are there for the system with convergence and non-convergence. I think this much is sufficient today. Take the screenshot of the attendance and send me the attendance to my personal WhatsApp number. Thank you very much.